Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are here for our Coffee with Cher. I have Miss Jennifer Flowers, President and CEO of Accreditation Guru. Jennifer, let's have a little coffee cheers.
Well, cheers.
I
Thank
like her
you.
mug. Isn't that cool?
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. So, welcome to Coffee with Cher. Coffee with Cher is our little chat with entrepreneurs just to kind of talk about their journeys. And I like to just share the entrepreneurial journey with those that are considering becoming an entrepreneur or those that are currently an entrepreneur might need just a little bit of boost. You know, we have, as you know, it's kind of like the up and downs of the journey. So I am so happy to have Jennifer Flowers here. Jennifer is a rock star. She's a client of mine, but also a really good friend. And she has an amazing company. And I can't wait for her to kind of share some of the great stuff that she's been doing. So, Accreditation Guru, tell us your story, Jennifer. Tell us how you got started.
Sure. Well, we're a national consulting company, and I've worked in the world of accreditation my entire career. And just real briefly, if people aren't familiar with what that is, you might recognize accreditation through hospitals or universities, but it is an external process of reviewing an organization against standards and going through an on-site review, and it takes them above and beyond being licensed. So I've worked in this field my entire career. I was last at one of the three major accrediting bodies for human service organizations. And it was in 2009, actually on the the anniversary of the Lehman Brothers collapse. And our company laid off 22% of the employees. I was one of them.
22%. Wow.
Yep, it was a really big hit. And I mean, that was a tough time. We're going through tough times now. As it turned out, because it was the anniversary of the Lehman Brothers collapse, Obama was speaking at the Federal Building at the top of Wall Street. My company happened to be at the bottom of Wall Street. So instead of going home and crying or wandering around first thing in the morning, I got a poster board and a marker, leaned on a building on the side of Wall Street and wrote in big letters, "Laid off today, 9:30 a.m., hire me." And I went up to the corner of the Federal Building and the stock exchange, climbed up some steps in a crowd, held that sign high for over half an hour, 40 minutes. And it just so happened that the press corps was straight across the street.
Go get him, girl.
When he was inside speaking, they had nothing to do but look across the street and take pictures. So it all broke, and then they came up, were asking me questions. Are you here protesting? What happened? I said, no, I literally was laid off at 9:30. But there were lots of interviews, and the next morning I'm getting calls and emails. Is this you in the LA Times, the New York Times? And my picture actually went worldwide, and it was one of many faces of the recession for a while. So it was quite an interesting way to start with a splash, but it did get attention. And one of my first clients called. He'd seen that, he'd heard the news, and said, "I've got a job for you. Would you consider moving down to Selma, Alabama?" And I said, "Thank you, but no. I'm happy in New York. But how about consulting?" And it started from there. The very first client was in Alabama.
That is awesome. I love that. I mean, that's one of those things where it's like, you got to make it happen, and then from the publicity side, from my PR arm of Events to Remember, I love it that you kind of just, that one moment really kind of took a life of its own. So I think that's awesome. I remember we worked with Jennifer on her 10th anniversary for her organization. And I remember kind of seeing the sign, and it was so much fun just to kind of look back the, memory lane and see how that whole thing transpired. So that was awesome. All right. So tell me, I mean, you are in my eyes, Miss Accreditation. period. Like that is accreditation is you. So tell me, how do you set yourself apart from your competition? And you said that there's three bodies. Is that kind of like on a national level, or,
Yes,
tell us a little bit about that.
sure. So there are the three largest accrediting bodies for human service organization. Um, JACO, also known as the Joint Commission, comes out of hospital accreditation. That's familiar to some. CARF and Council on Accreditation, COA, where I used to work. And there are other accrediting bodies that we work with, but we are set apart in that we do work with all three,
Mm-hmm.
and we are a national firm. I have a team of accreditation experts that are located from Florida to Alaska, and
Mm-hmm.
they specialize in one type of accreditation. So they have been reviewers for 15, 20, 25 years for COA or for CARF.
Okay.
And we're able to match our consultants to the clients coming in based on the type of accreditation, the type of services the client offers, our expertise, location, et cetera. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
So how do you set yourself apart, Jen, from your competition? The fact that you are able to kind of work with these three different entities. And what else do you do? I mean, I know you're very big on culture just because I know you on a personal note, but really like making sure that your team is aligned and your different retreats that you do with your staff to make sure that, everyone is a part of the overall mission. Anything else? I know those
Yeah.
things just from working with you on a personal side, but I mean, I just love the way you run the organization. Anything else you want to?
Yeah, thank you. From the beginning, it's been very important for me to have a company culture. And the
Mhm.
thing is, I presently, I have nobody even in the tri-state area that works with me. And my admin team, they're all in Milwaukee and Chicago area. So with a very disparate group and people, as I said, all across the US, I could very easily just assign somebody a contract. Here's your client, go do your work, come back and be done. But I've really worked to foster connections among the consultants themselves so they can share best practices and ideas and get that sense of team. We've got our hashtag Team AG that we use a lot, and we do a annual retreat. This past year it was virtual. We had, because of the pandemic, we had to.
Yeah.
But we've gone to places like San Diego, Colorado Springs, and down to Florida. I let the team pick where we go. If we're getting on a plane, we're getting on a plane. And diversity and inclusion is part of how I live my life, but I've got an amazingly diverse team. And we've actually also, another line of business we do is strategic planning. And we've got some experts on diversity, inclusion, equity, and belonging on our team. And we've added that in purposefully into strategic planning to help our clients understand and get the benefits of using that lens when they're looking
Mhm.
internally. And so there's a lot I could speak in on that, but I also just have a fabulous team. I really, really enjoy working with them. So it's fun.
That's awesome. All right. So I want to talk about just COVID because you mentioned how obviously your retreat this year was virtual. And I know that we all are kind of sick of hearing about COVID-19. And thank God everyone is getting vaccinations and we're moving on to the next stage of this. But I do want to talk about, because I know just every time I would speak to Jennifer, where are you is my first question. She's on a plane somewhere, she's flying here, she's flying there, she's all of these different conferences. So how did you kind of just navigate usually being on the road so much? I mean, you spent so many, every time I would see you kind of pictures from some state, on some flight or something like that. I mean, that was kind of like how I saw you on social media. And it's like, Jennifer, when are you here? Let's grab coffee, So how have you adjusted with everything?
No, it's true. And people used to ask me, where do you work? And I said, out of a home office, planes, and hotels.
Mm-hmm.
So personally, I was traveling around the country to speak at state and national conferences all throughout the year. I would do more than 20 speaking engagements every year. And so that kept me very much on the road. And Cher, hashtag travel season
Yeah.
was one that I made up and used a lot, and I can't wait to get back
Use
to
it
it. I've been
again.
grounded for over a year now.
Oh my gosh.
But as soon as I'm able to, I will be back on the road safely, but very much looking forward to travel. Already have the first conference scheduled for Florida in August. So it
August
is
this
starting to
year?
come back for
August this year is the first one?
this year. Yep.
Okay.
And there will be other ones coming up in the fall.
Okay.
So that's great. And for my team and for the business itself, we were actually already set up where a good majority of our work was done remotely.
Okay.
You get into editing and revising policies and procedures and documents and training staff, and we were already doing that remotely. But we would do on-site visits, either for initial training and assessments or to do a mock accreditation survey.
Mm-hmm.
And those we did have to switch over and go to a virtual session. But we were successful with it. It's never the same as being there, but even doing facility reviews. We would have somebody on the client side, walk around with an iPad and show the consultant, different areas, facilities, consultant ask questions, what's over here, where's your second lock, and but we have already moved back to having some in-person visits, and throughout the entire time, I really took it on a case-by-case basis. I told the clients this, and I told the consultants this. If the client was comfortable having somebody come on site, and depending what state they were in and travel restrictions, if the consultant was comfortable traveling, and it worked out, then they could do it. But it wasn't for me to decide. It was for them to figure out. And so, it was kind of a hybrid system all the way through. And we're not even at 100% yet back to full. It's still case by case, but we're definitely getting there. So
okay. And I'm sure you see a lot of differences with having your team all over the United States. Different states are doing different things. I mean, New York, it's a little bit more strict here, but I'm sure that, in some of the other states, it was just, they didn't have as many COVID cases. So I'm sure that you guys made adjustments kind of based on that too,
Definitely. Yes.
So lastly, I want to know just, you've been doing this for a really long time. You have this team that is really kind of doing big things. What advice would you give to an entrepreneur, someone who's just starting out or who's kind of thinking about kind of taking that entrepreneurial journey? What kind of advice would you give them, Jennifer?
Well, I would give them probably two pieces. One, especially the onset, is let people know, get your voice out there and hold that sign high. It's social media, it's word of mouth, it's sending emails out and making sure that you're amplifying your voice and what you are doing so that people know and they can find you. Also, in terms of being able to find you, get that website up there, have the SEO. But that kind of rolls into my second piece of advice, is one that I learned early on, because remember when I started out, it was just me. And I was doing all the consulting work and the contracting and the billing and this and that. However, I can't be an expert in all areas, number one. And if I wanted to grow the business, which is always my goal, I was going to have other people come on for the consulting side to free me up to work in other areas. So, people have been added one by one. We're a team of 15 now, I think.
Nice.
But find those experts, those marketing and social media experts, event planners like yourself, and web designers, and add them in. And you can start small, but bring in those experts to help you grow your business.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it definitely is a theme, and facilitating these different Coffee with Cher sessions. That is something that we hear all the time. Entrepreneurs say, you know what, I really want to focus on what I do. When you get to a certain point, you really have to kind of bring in experts to kind of help move you in the right direction. Bookkeeping, all that stuff, not my thing. I want to pay attention to, obviously my numbers, but you got to hire out, and there's certain things. So I agree 100%. Well, Jennifer, any last parting words, definitely leave us your website and how we can learn more about your company, and anything else that you want to share before we end our session.
Certainly. Well, it's easy to find me and to find our team, accreditationguru.com. I would
Mhm.
be happy to speak with anyone about accreditation, strategic planning, educating and improving nonprofit boards of directors. And it's just been great being here. I always love seeing you. I can't wait till we're in person and can we'll raise a glass together. But I
Yes.
do appreciate being invited, and you're the best. And I love that you're doing this series. So thank you for including me.
Oh, thank you for being here. And I went right into Jennifer, and I didn't even take a minute to kind of introduce myself. So for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Sharice Jervis Hill. I'm the president of Events to Remember. Events to Remember is a full service event management and public relations firm. And Coffee with Cher is my little joy time that I get to spend with entrepreneurs. So thank you, Jennifer, for being here. We'll definitely share your information, and she is a rock star. So Miss Accreditation Guru herself, Jennifer Flowers, thank you for being here.
Great. Thank you so much.